Good afternoon, folks. We're back. I agree. 1957D could be a really good roll. And here we are for a 1957D Chicago Fed roll. Give it a few more minutes and let people gather. Hello, Andy. Yeah, I generally start broadcasting right on the hour, and I wait a few minutes for people to start showing up because I find out that, well, the first 2 or 3 minutes people are scrambling to put everything down and get to a point where they can watch, get it started, and I don't want to be a third of the way into the roll before they have a chance to show up, so I give it a few minutes ahead of time. Say, like, there's people showing up now. Adam Connor, Farm Dog, John Argent. Good day, fellas. Hope everything's going well for you. North Carolina is soaked right now. We're just nothing but rain. That should work itself out in the next couple of days, and I'm expecting a nice warm weekend with sunny weather. Just got to get through these few days. It was today, Thursday. We got another day or two of rain, and then we'll have a nice weekend. So there's that, ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and start opening the roll now. This is the roll we have. It is a 1957 Denver roll, wrapped up by the Chicago Fed Reserve System. Go ahead and pry both ends open. Brian Pruitt, how are you doing today? Jeff Dunn, Silver Rufus. I'm seeing names that I remember putting on the little name cards for this particular roll. The coins in this roll look pretty good so far. I'm just seeing from the ends, they look nice. This particular roll came out of a purchase deal from a dealer in Pennsylvania about a year ago. Had it for a little while. Of course, you guys all know I like 1957D rolls because there's so many double dies and RPMs in 1957D. Chances of coming up with something could be good. Just to take a look at a couple of the coins in the roll, it appears as though we have a pretty nice roll here. So let me go ahead and get started. Oh, Chuck's not late again. He's right here. Oh, you got a couple of bank boxes of pennies? Okay. I'll check my email as soon as I get done with this. And that is, folks, I didn't mean to sound angry in any way during the last broadcast. I just want to let everyone know that I don't always have time to watch the chat 100% when I'm working on a roll, especially during the first half of the roll, because I'm trying to get acclimated to the coins in the roll and figure out what we've got going on. This one has a pretty wild looking bit of machine doubling on the 1 and the 9 of the date. There's no hub doubling on this, and there is no RPM on the mint mark. I keep looking around to see if I see anything else on this. It is a nice bright coin, though. It is a nice coin. Flip it over and take a look at the other side. Don't see anything there. So we're going to flip up Mr. Fletcher's coin, number 1, and move on to number 2. So I don't mean to sound abrupt to anyone, and I don't mean to ignore anyone, but should there happen to be a chance that I'm going to miss a message in a live broadcast, just send me an email. I'll take care of you. Yeah, I get a lot of email. Sometimes it takes me a whole day to notice an email has been sent. So, additionally, if you want to complain about product that are sent to you, you're not going to get a whole lot of attention during a live broadcast for something like that, simply because, well, the live broadcast is here for a reason. It's because it's a live broadcast. This isn't a Q&A session for products and shipments. Just thought I'd get that out there. We're up to 3 coins in this roll and haven't found anything yet. There's Silver Rufus, there's Bill Betts, TNO. As I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before, but I really only started doing these broadcasts simply to be able to show the coins and show the fact that I'm doing all this on top of the table and I'm not seeding anything, searching anything, or giving you guys anything other than an original bank wrap roll of coins. Hello, Justin. And it became a show where I gathered an audience just watching me open these rolls. And I thought, well, that's kind of neat. Well, that's more of what it's become, rather than just opening coins to prove that I was opening coins on camera, live, and not cheating anyone or salting rolls or anything like that. And now it's a show with an audience. So I'm good with that. But I never started doing this show to make it necessarily an audience interactive event. That's the auctions. These, of course, I'm here to answer questions or here to do whatever I can for you. But please understand that if I don't catch you or I don't pay attention to you, it's because I have a primary job that's not watching the chat. I still haven't found anything of value in this roll. It is a decent roll. Nice, bright, lustrous coins. A few spots here and there. Let's talk about design weak points. Everybody seems to know. Well, not everybody seems to know. This is why I'm talking about it. Not everyone seems to pay attention to or know where all the weak points are on the design of the Lincoln Cent. They see something out in the middle of the field that is actually a scratch that to them appears it could be a die crack. Or they see a die gouge, like a die gouge or a die scratch, and they think that could be a die crack. Well, folks, die cracks generally only form in certain parts of the design. This is one of them right here. This is a general design weak point. It's a very high relief area, a top of the forehead into the hair, from the brow to the hair, is a high relief area on the Lincoln Cent design. And that is one of the first areas that will fail on the Lincoln Cent design. So when you see something jagged running across the forehead and across the head, you are likely looking at a die crack. If you're seeing it in the middle of an undisturbed field and it looks like a straight little raised line, you probably need to adjust your lighting because you're probably looking at a scratch in the coin. Or you could be looking at a die scratch. But either way, it's likely not a die crack because die cracks tend to form in certain areas of the design. I'll show you those certain areas right now. Now, this coin may or may not have any die cracks, but especially in the late wheats, die cracks tend to form on or in the letters of the date. They tend to form right here in the center of the head, and they tend to form generally between the letters of Liberty. That's where you get your bi errors from. And then they will develop on and around the very bottom of the bust at the shoulder. Die cracks like to form along high relief areas or in areas where the relief changes very quickly, like letters. On the reverse of the design, die cracks tend to form in the highest relief areas, which is going to be in the wheat grains on either side. This is just a general rule, general idea. Or the die cracks will tend to form on the T of cent, and there is one on the top of the T here. And they will also tend to form at times in the N and the E of 1. And this is just areas where the design suffers from general weakness because of changes in either they're going to be changes in relief or they're going to be areas of high relief. You missed 4. Number 4? Coin number 4 was Adam Chambers. Or you missed 4 coins. I don't know whether yours came up or not, Randy. Not sure. Tim Morrell? So if you see what you think is a die crack right out here in the middle of the field, let's say that somebody looked at this and thought it was a die crack, you can tell them, no, that's probably not a die crack because it's not in a weak area of the design. Something like this out in the middle of the field is going to likely be a hit or a scratch on the coin like this is, or it's going to be something on the die, which is generally like this, like a die scratch. Die scratch or a die gouge. Your cracks are going to happen in weak areas. Top of the forehead, bottom of the shoulder, in the date, or in Liberty. I'll flip this around, take a look at that bottom serif real close because I think we do have a little tiny minor RPM. I don't think I'm going to pull this one out of the crowd because it doesn't look like it's enough to list it. No, I don't think that's enough. All right, let's take a look at the reverse. Get this good and focused for you. You missed 4 coins. Oh, okay. Well, you didn't miss one of yours. So I think you might be in this roll. We're up to coin number 9. I'm getting ready to do coin number 9. We haven't found anything yet, so you haven't missed any excitement. 1957, especially the D-Mint, tends to be rather unique in that era for having a substantial number of different double dies that only show in the word Liberty. Why? I don't know. Never got a good, clear answer on that. This one doesn't have one of them. But there are some 6 or 7 different double dies that are unique to 1957, in that they generally only show in the letters of Liberty. There are none known 1956 or 1958 or any other year. Only 1957. And I honestly can't answer for why. Paul Hampton, next coin. Paul Hampton will get this one. Still got nothing going on. Now, I try in these shows to balance the idea of going through the roll quickly enough to get it done inside of the parameters of the time period that I've opened for these particular videos, which is about 1 hour. But at the same time, I want to go slowly enough so that you guys can also see and pick out things on coins, because I have been stopped in the past and told, hey, I think that coin had a blah on it, and I'd go back and I'd look, and sure enough, it would be there. So this isn't all about me, but it is about just trying to keep the time period short enough that people will want to go through and watch the video, watch the coins come up. So I don't look at absolutely everything on every coin. I give myself a memorization of dies. I memorize what the dies are so that I know I no longer need to look at the finest details of some of the coins as they come up, so I can just watch for errors. And the die varieties are well taken care of, because once you've seen a die one time and you know whether or not that has doubling on that die for sure, one way or the other, that answer remains the same for every other coin ever minted by that die. Just the way it is. Farm Dog. Got Farm Dog a coin here. These coins do look pretty nice. I'm looking at them bare-eyed before I put them underneath the scope. Watching mostly for doubling in Liberty on the date and doubled eyelids, and then on the reverse. Not really expecting to see much of anything on the reverse, because 1957D is not one of those years very well known for hub doubling on the reverse. And Chuck Patillo gets the next coin. That's lucky coin number 13. Let's see if it is lucky to us. Not seeing anything on this one. $13 has not pulled to be a lucky number for us this week. I don't think I've pulled any die varieties on number 13. So we just keep looking and looking. It might have been a die chip in the 5. I think it might have been a really small beginning to a die chip. Either that or it's just a little bit of planchet damage or die damage. Not sure. I guess it could be a die chip. It's a small one. Adam Connor. RPMs are definitely the main focus for 57D. There's a lot of them, and some of them are very nice. But I can't help but watch Liberty for doubling, because there are more double die obverses for this issue than any other in the 50s. Little die crack on the bottom of the vest there, just below the lapel. Something I'd like to bring to an end, being able to say there are no known double die reverses for 1957D. I would love to find the first one during a reveal, but have never seen one so far. Alejandro gets this coin. It says number 15 in the roll. Don't see anything here though. Nothing different from the other coins that I've looked at so far. Yeah, there's a couple of really nice RPMs. RPM 3 especially is very nice for 1957D. And you have RPM number 5, which is associated with double die obverse number 2. It's another nice pair up die varieties. This is a small RPM. This one's got a split lower serif. So this one will count. This one's got looks like a diagonal die scratch above the 1. A lot of north and south die scratches. Got a heavy one running northwest from the 9, from the Y, I mean. So we can use that too. It's got a little bit of a die crack above the VDB. That is a minor RPM. So we do have an RPM in this roll. And that's coin number 16. Coin number 17 now. Alejandro. Coin number 17. Let's take a look and see what we have here. It's another one. I believe it's the same die. It is the same die. There's your diagonal die scratch above the 1. Here's your one coming up out of the Y. So, yep, same die again. Now that we have a die identified as a definite RPM, I'll be going back through the remainder of the roll that we've already seen to take a look and see if we have any duplicates of this particular die that I might have missed earlier. This time I'll go through looking for the markers. Coin number 18 goes to Fox Run Forge. Coin number 18 is this. Not the same die. It's a different die. Not an RPM. And let's see here. No double die either. Very nice coins, yes, indeed. Not a double die reverse either. That's coin number 18. Goes to Fox Run Forge. Coin number 19. Doug Reese. Okay, we got nothing for the RPM. See if we have. There's no hub doubling on this coin. On the obverse. Let's take a look at the reverse. Got nothing there. That's coin number 19. Moving right along to coin number 20 now. Coin number 20 will go to, well, Doug Reese. How about that? Ah, there we go. Nice RPM. Nice RPM. It's got a big split lower serif. It's got another D popping out of the east side. I don't know for sure which RPM this is, but it is definitely a nice one. So there we go. We've got us a nice listed RPM here. This one I'm going to call die 2 for this roll. Very nice. Let's see if we can pop out a little marker for this, although we probably won't need one. The RPM itself is a good marker. Let's see if we can find something to use to be sure that we have the same die over and over again. Should we run into more of them, we're going to want something to use. I don't know if that's a die. It is a die crack running across the shoulder. So there's a die crack runs across the shoulder. There's a nice die scratch right behind the lapel up in the shoulder fold. So we can use that. Nice Nice few die scratches in the shoulder fold area. Bottom of the E to the rim. And what, Liberty? Is there another? Oh, okay. That is a scratch. That's not on the die. That's just on the coin. Okay. I'll take a look at the reverse real quick. Make sure that we're not missing a double die reverse. Because we could very well find one. Who knows, right? Okay. There we go for that. That's coin number 20. That's going to be die 2 for the roll. Doug Reese gets this one. Now Bill Betts. Now for Bill Betts. Let's see what we get for Bill Betts. Nada. We've seen this die before. This one's an earlier die state, but it has no variety to speak of. No character, no personality. And that's for Bill Betts. Tim Crowell gets the next one. Let's see what we have in store here for Tim Crowell. Well, that looks like a normal coin. No doubled eyelid. No doubling in Liberty. I don't see anything else here on this side. Ho, Bulldog. Hope things are going for you well today. Why does this thing fall out of focus? Why does it seem to be out of focus about half the time? Okay. Listen, I got a fleeting glimpse of what appeared to be a split upper serif on this. But I don't see it now. Let me check for the lower serif. I don't see anything. This coin could just be flattened out. The mint mark could be flattened out a little bit. I'll catch it a second time around if I happen to notice it when I'm going back through the roll later. I'll pick it out for you for sure. Not going to miss anything. I'll make sure I catch everything. I always look through it twice. That's Mike Birchman. I have found, just even in the last week, that I had missed coins of some of the more minor die varieties that I'd pulled out of the roll. I surprise people with it. Because somebody will get a coin, they'll think, oh, well, they just got a normal coin out of that roll, and then all of a sudden they get a plate coin. Because they not only had one of the die varieties, but they had the nicest one in the roll that I could use for example photos. So I would photograph it, get that plate coin assignment on the flip insert, and then when they receive the coin, voila, they are amazed and amused. What an ugly way to get a nice RPM. This is, I do believe, an example of, no, it's not die 1. It's not the die 2, but it has minor splits on the serifs. In fact, there appears to be 2 splits on the lower serif. We'll go ahead and hold this one out and see what we can do with it. Not going to be any penalty for holding out a coin that I'm going to stick back in the stack later. So if there's any doubt at all while we're going through the roll, I can just pull it out. Coins and currency, I'm not sure that there really are a whole lot. I mean, we've been in positions where we're looking for stuff and people find stuff in Grandpa's closet, or they find it in the bottom of their own closet, or they find it in a garage during a garage sale. But not highly commonly do the banks have really old coins sitting in the bank by the bag, because generally bags were used shortly after they arrived at the bank. They'd bust the stitches and start working on issuing coins. Lock boxes, very possible. But the most likely way to find good old rolls of coins are people who collected them and retired from collecting or died, and their estate goes out for sale. You're not going to get them at face value, but you could very well see rolls that have not seen the light of day for 6, 7, 8 decades. Well, nothing there. So I had a comment in the last video. I didn't really see a whole lot of pushback or agreement or anything else, but your government is covering up the fact that they're taking your entitlements from you by calling them benefits and then cutting back on your benefits, because a benefit is something you can cut because it's a giveaway. Entitlements are things you paid for. You earned them. They can't just be taken away from you. Social Security is not a benefit. Social Security is an entitlement. You pay for it, you are to get it back. The rate may not quite be the same. The amount may not quite be the same. But they have no right to call it a benefit because it is not a benefit. Let's see. Heard that if banks send Ike dollars back to the Fed does not reissue them. Is that correct? Luckily, my bank calls me anytime they have some turned in from a customer. Eisenhower dollars are not current issue to the United States, and they generally don't reissue the Ike dollars simply because nobody wants them for commerce. The banks don't want them. The banks don't order them. So when they make it back to the Fed just destroys them, or they store them. So it is true that when banks order $1 coins, the Fed is not going to send out Morgan and Peace dollars and Eisenhower dollars. They're going to send out Sacagawea dollars or presidential dollars or Carter quarters, another name for the Susan B. Anthony dollars. We called them Carter quarters back in '79 when they first came out. Hello, coin junkie. Randy. Front and center, Randy. Got you a coin right here. Let's see, what is this? Yep. It does not appear that we have a double die. We do not have an RPM. Let's flip it over and take a look at the other side. See what happened on the other side. Not much. Sorry about that, Randy. Got yourself a decent looking 1957D, and that's just about it. Skinny D. That's right. Was on a weight loss program like I need to be on. Yeah, the Mint really missed the boat when they started making those Susan B. Anthony dollars, Because of legislation, they were unable to make an 11-sided coin, so they moved the 11 sides to the inside of the rim. That's why they look like they do. They look like a multi-sided coin, but they don't feel like one. So to blind people, they're still round with reeds. Then the coin was supposed to be a golden dollar color back in 1979. The design was for a brass or copper type coin. And that didn't pass legislation because they didn't want to spend the money on testing different kinds of planchets for hardness. So we went with a clad composition that was basically a between $quarter and $half size coin cut from $half stock. And more people than not mistook it for a quarter. There were a number of times where I saw them spent as quarters. And they were brought into circulation during Jimmy Carter's administration. So, just like our society typically does, anytime something happens they don't like, during a president's term, everything gets blamed on that president. So Carter, even though he had little to nothing to do with the issuance of Susan B. Anthony dollars in 1979, happened to be president. And because he happened to be president, he got the blame. So now they're called Carter quarters. Yeah, I saw the eyelid on that one. It's just not really there. There's just not anything. It looks more like a die scratch than it does an actual doubled eyelid. So I skipped it. And so after that, as wonderfully and quickly as the government moves, it took them 2 years to decide to quit making these coins that nobody wanted to spend. So they stopped making them. 1981 was the last issue put out to the U.S. public. See, that's die scratch right there. Definitely die scratch. It parallels all these die scratches. It forms a patch in an area, and it is definitely not hubbed into the die. It's scratched into the die. We have issues with our circulating coinage on a regular basis, but just to show you how wonderfully fast the government moves, it took them from 1981 to 1999 to decide to do something about the Carter quarter problem. So they decided they were going to come out with a $1 coin in the golden color. So in 99, they're running test runs, and they finally come up with a composition they think works and has a golden color. Year 2000, they came out with the Sacagawea dollar. But did you know that because legislation had been passed in 1999 to create $1 coins, the dies were not ready in 1999 for them to, the design actually wasn't ready for them to start minting coins in 1999. So what'd they do? Because the legislation had been passed that they were forced to make dollar coins, they were going to make them regardless of whether it made any common sense. So in 1999, they minted a relatively large number of Carter quarters, a coin they already knew had completely failed, that no one wanted to spend, no one wanted to see them, but they wasted millions of American dollars. There's another one of those nice ones. Let's zoom in on this. Let's take a look at this one up close. They wasted millions of American dollars making sure that they made the mandated required number of coins. Let's make this brighter so that we can see. Nicely split lower serif, nicely split upper serif, and we have this thing on the inside of the D right there, along with another part of a D coming out the right edge. Yep, you do get those at the post office. So this is a second example of that die number 2 that we have been talking about. I'm going to go over and find this die listed. Guess I will choose to use Variety Vista this afternoon. RPM listings for 1957D. Go down the list real quick and find this one. Is it, let's see. It's not that one. Let's see here. Well, I don't see it listed with Konica. Well, it appears to be a tripled RPM to me. Oh, here it is. I found it. 1957D RPM number 14. There it is right there. 1957D RPM number 14. You can see that little thing coming out to the east right here. You can see this part right here. And then you've got the doubled serifs. So we'll go back and look at it again. So you get the thing coming out the east, you get the nice little thing on the inside, and you get the doubled split serifs. It's also very close to the date. Proof-like 1969S Lincoln cents. They do exist. I've seen a number of them. 1970S as well. In fact, 1971S and 72S. I'm not really sure why those 4 years are more common than any others, but yes, I have seen them. They do exist. So this is going to be RPM number 14. This was originally a Ken Potter find back in the day. And this one goes to Starbuck. I'm going to call that one die number 2, I believe I said. I'm going to call that. What was die 3? I'm beginning to lose it. I do not know. Okay, die 3 was another split serif RPM. Or what was possibly a split serif. So that was coin number 35. I'll move on to coin number 36 now. I mean, you're saying that you got 2 of the only 4 graded by PCGS as MS68 red. You've got 2 MS68 red, 1969 as Lincolns. Wow. That's an accomplishment. Hey, there's another one. This one goes to Rick Brasfield. Our buddy Rick. A couple of little spots here and there. Well, I mean, if there are no MS68 red, now you have them. I mean, if the coins are mint state, they're mint state. If they're proof, they're proof. They should be very easy to tell the difference between, because proof has definitely high contrast mirror fields, and mint state coins do not. I'm sure you do have several from SGS, Andy. All right, there's another one. So we're finding RPM 14 in this roll. Levels of Madness comes up with the next coin. Let's see what Levels of Madness gets. Not an RPM. Not an RPM on this coin. Not a doubled eyelid. And nothing in Liberty. Yeah, definitely a 1969 S Lincoln cent and MS68 red is going to be a pretty high number coin. It's going to be pretty high dollar. I don't know coins and currency. I don't really look for errors all that much. I don't really have a whole lot of interest in errors. As for what the most, I don't know, the rarest one I've ever found, probably be nothing more than like I don't know. I found a full brockage one time. I found one that had a weird looking reverse punch, and it was actually punched into another coin. I had one of those that I found. It was in 1973 Philadelphia. But I actually don't do a whole lot with errors. Starbuck gets the next coin. Well, PCGS would list no price for an MS68 Red because MS68 Red is so rare that it probably doesn't have a well-established price. You have to remember, price guides come from sales. If there are no sales, there can't be a price guide. You can't have a value for something that doesn't sell. It doesn't sell if it's extremely rare and only a couple of people own one. I would probably go by comparative on something in that general decade era for which there are only a handful of 68s known with no 69s, and see how that works. No, not necessarily the first coins minted either. They might be some of the first coins minted from a particular die, but half the dies they would hang for use were very, very sharp and probably had very shiny surfaces. They wear out pretty quickly, but I'm sure you can get a couple hundred strikes out of one before that mirror shine starts to wear off the die. Yeah, I've seen some 68S and 69S especially, getting into all the way up to 72, 73. I've seen some that look rather fantastic, especially 70S. I've seen a number of 70Ss that are just fantastically proof-like. I don't generally pay a whole lot of attention to them. I don't know why. They don't do a lot for me. You still want my toned Canadian pennies. You're funny. I remember that coin, Andy. You showed that to me, thinking it was an SMS. It was actually a regular proof. But it was one of those proofs that has more of a satiny appearance than the bright sheen appearance. I remember that. The proofs actually have slightly different features than the business strike coins, and the SMS coins are slightly modified business strike dies, which meant that the lettering actually looked different between what you had and a real SMS coin. I've recently held a real SMS coin. It's my intention at some point to get back into seeing that coin and taking very good detailed images of it and do a study between that, a proof, and a mint state coin in early die state, so that we can once and for all kind of close the gap in knowledge between what a mint state, a satin, or a SMS coin and a proof is. Because there seems to be a lot of what ifs. And I want to dispel the what ifs and have people put back on the right course, because I actually think that checking rolls and checking change and stuff like that for an SMS coin is well, it's kind of not recommended. I could almost go to the point of calling it ridiculous, but you're not going to find a 1964 SMS coin in a proof set, and you're not going to find one in a bankroll. Just not going to happen. All right, 43 coins down. We've got a few die varieties in here. Eric Beyer. I like finding the ones that are really obvious, though. Do like finding those. Haven't seen one of those except, well, these few 14s in here are pretty nice. I haven't really seen anything that's jump up and down gorgeous here. I like a high-grade coin like anyone else, but I'm not going to overgrade my coins just to make it seem like they're nicer than they really are. I'll tell you what it is. Anytime I come up with a really nice coin, I'm going to let you know it. Because I definitely want you to know that I'm coming up with quality coins. But sometimes they just don't meet the mark. This one's got that big scuff mark out in front of the eye that you can see. Other than that, it was a very nice clean obverse by appearances with the naked eye. The reverse looks pretty nice, regardless of what you're looking at it with. Naked eye or magnification, it still looks pretty nice. You're going to buy all the 36 proofs? Yeah, 36 proofs. Sometimes you'll find a coin, and sometimes you won't. You'll be hard pressed to find one in a dealer's book, but I've seen a few of them. I've seen 2 or 3 of them come up over the years that were sold as mint state coins. Well, I've been going to the banks for years looking for a 75 quarter, and nobody can seem to give me one. I even told the tellers if they could find me a 75 quarter, I'd give them $20 for it. Nobody ever called me. Mike Birchman, 4th from the end of the roll. NGC 1949 S proof coin. They don't exist. $1949 is not a proof year to begin with, and San Francisco did not make proofs until 1968. Yeah, it's on eBay. It must be real, right? Just goes to prove there's more idiots out there than you knew about. There's another number 14, another die number 14. This one is a very nice one. Some goes to Tim Crowell. Very nice grade. 1957 D RPM number 14. We're going to call that die number 2 for the day. We've already got a stack of 3 of them. This makes the 4th one. And we've got 2 coins left in this roll. Two coins left. One goes to Fox Run Forge. See what we have here. Not an RPM. That's awesome, Andy. Or Adam, I'm sorry. Adam. Yeah, Randy, the SMS coins from 65 to 67, they were actually polished surfaces to look like proof coins. They're actually a replacement for proof coins just for those years, and they did make about a dozen sets of 1964. Just to test out the idea and see if they could get it to work, and it did. It's Salvador Dali. This has got a lot of nice toning on it. Now, whose is this? Bulldog. You out there, Bulldog? Let me know if you're out there, Bulldog. You got coin number 50 in the roll. It's not a die variety, but I wanted to show everybody something if you would allow it. Said you were listening, but you're probably working. What's this? The very rare 1945 no mint mark on E, but wanted too much. 1945 no mint mark what? Well, the coin hunt went pretty well, Tim Crow. You got some pretties. I think you got at least one nice coin out of this. Done with the roll. Now, most of the coins are normal coins. Probably a good 40 coins out of the roll were pretty much normal. We got a die number 1 for the day. We got 2 coins, 16 and 17. These 2 coins are double split serif. Then we got a die number 2 for the day. Die number 2 for the day was, let me make sure that I'm right about that. Go. Yeah, die number 2 for the day is listed as Connect RPM number 14. It's also 1MM014, I do believe. And we got four coins, 48, 36, 35, and 20. Here's the names on those. And Bulldog, I was gonna find out if you would mind if I took some Xylol to the toning on this coin to show what it does. This is your coin. It's coin number 50 in the roll. Has that icky powdery look to it, but I can make that go back to normal pretty well. If you would allow it, I will take care of it. And then the other die variety that we ended up with is a minor split serif RPM. This is to Jeff Dunn, coin number 25. So that's what we have there. And so if Bulldog allows it, I will take this Salvador Dali coin here and make this stuff look right, because it's lost a lot of luster because it was sitting at the end of a roll. And this is all dust and grime that can carefully be lifted off the coin. It will still have spots, but it will look much nicer because the surface will be exposed again and not be looking through a bunch of dirt. Go, go. Go, go, he says. His break is short. I'm taking it up. So here we go. It doesn't take much. Couple of bristles. Or a couple of, what do you call fiber of cotton, I guess. Fibers. Couple of fibers and a little bit of air. And this is what you end up with. Much nicer looking coin. Very bright coin. There we go. Took all that grimy stuff off and left the toning. Everything is as it should be now. Almost does. And if you take a look at the reverse is nice and shiny. So we've got a reverse and an obverse that match one another, except that there's a couple of spots on this. It's called xylene. XYLENE. Thank you, Bulldog. Just wanted to be able to show people that. Show them that does do the job. It was a normal coin. Let's take a look at coin number 1 and see what happened with coin number 1. See, that one's got a different kind of toning on it. You're not going to help it any. Not going to do anything to it. If you're not actually going to improve a coin by taking dust or grime or some sort of haze off the coin, then you do nothing to the coin. You're very welcome, Bulldog. This is my xylene right here. It's from the Science Company. It's XYLENES. Comes from sciencecompany.com. It's got a bunch of warning stuff on the label. It has a very like rubbing alcohol like smell to it. It's between that and paint thinner. Xylene will do whatever. It will stop corrosion. It will not reverse corrosion. So it will stop the uglies from spreading, but it will not prevent the uglies from being on the coin if they're already there. So you're not going to take anything off the coin. No help for the weary, you know what I'm saying? All right, folks, well, I appreciate it. And I am going to take off now and go get more shipping and packing done. I have close to 100 packages to get done and out tomorrow. And then I will be down to just these reveals with the auction that they came with and the non-variety coins plus the auction coins for this week will go out Saturday and Monday. And then all I will have left are the die varieties from the last 2 weeks of reveals. Finish those up and I'll get those out to you next week. All right, folks, I appreciate it. You guys have a great afternoon. Have peace and all kinds of fun through the weekend. If you don't come back tonight, Time Traveler Coin Exchange, I don't know that I would have any interest in buying one at that price, but if you photograph it and let me see what the photograph looks like, I can talk with you about it. But everybody, we have a... Just send me a picture, and we can talk about it. Okay. We have another one coming up this evening. It's a 1945D original machine-wrapped roll. It's coming up at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Eastern Time this evening. And then we have a 1947D Detroit Fed roll coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. So we got 2 9 p.m. engagements, one this evening, one tomorrow. And I will be able to do those and then get the packages packed up and ready to go and get ready for my next auction. So I'm kind of excited. This weekend is Memorial Day weekend. Given that it's Memorial Day weekend, Jessica will not be doing a weekend auction this weekend. So there's not going to be an auction this weekend. The next auction will be this following Tuesday. All right, folks, I appreciate it. You guys have a great night. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you later.